Good morning. It's good to see everybody. I want to read from the Gospel of Luke. We've been doing this series on the path, following the path of Christ. And we started with the birth, and we're now to the crucifixion. And of course, next Sunday, we'll talk about the resurrection. And the idea behind this is very simple, that Jesus said, "I'm the way." He provided a path for us to follow. And I think everybody goes through life trying to find the right path. But this has been around for a long time. It's been laid out for us. And I think it becomes fashionable, and it becomes kind of modern to try to invent new ways. But this is the tried and true. And maybe you grew up and maybe it was interpreted poorly to you. Maybe you misunderstood it, and maybe you got the wrong idea. But this is the path of life. And the path of life is not always the easiest path. That's the thing we need to make sure that we say. Have you learned that to be true? In fact, have you found it to be true that sometimes you took an easier way and it turned out down the road to be more difficult? Sometimes you got to take your medicine up front, they say. Have you learned that? And so today we're going to talk about the crucifixion. And first I'm going to read it. We're going to think about it. And of course, all this week, Good Friday, we're going to remember. But let's read from Luke's Gospel. It was now about the 6th hour. This is Jesus. He's now hanging on the cross. There are other criminals hanging there with him. Darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour, for the sun stopped shining. The curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And when he said this, he breathed his last. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who had gathered to witness this saw what took place, they beat their breasts and they went away. But those who knew him, including the women who followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things. The crucifixion of Jesus. This, to me, is not just a sentimental holiday, even a sacred remembrance. The cross and the crucifixion is the key, big statement here, to everything in your life. The cross and the crucifixion is the key to everything in your life. The key for us is to not just observe, celebrate, and give thanks, but to somehow, this is the key part, to participate in the cross. In Galatians it says this, Paul wrote this, he says, "I have been crucified with Christ." So Paul looked at that, but he said, I've been crucified. I sort of died with Christ. Now, to us that doesn't make sense. It seems like this is an event that you observe and you talk about. But he's saying the key to life is knowing that you too need to have your own death. You need to have your own crucifixion. The key to growing up in life, and I would suggest, even though some of you are very mature, I would suggest that all of us are still growing up in life. You're still on the path. You're still in the process of becoming the person that God created you to be. You're becoming the ultimate you. And the only way to get there is you have to go through this, we'll call it this crucifixion, this death of self, this death of, as this translation put it, my ego. Have you ever been around a person that hung on to their ego a little too long? Have you? I mean, it's just difficult. It's difficult to have a conversation with them. It's difficult to have a business meeting with them. It's difficult to have a family chat when someone is, all they're doing is living in their past. Now, it's okay. We all have to kind of go through these stages as we grow up. The other night, I was putting Charlie to bed, and she wanted her teddy. Did anybody bring your teddy to church today? A couple of kids. Most of the adults did not. And you go through a phase in life where you put that stuff behind you. You think that's childish or something. But it's not wrong for a child. It's very appropriate. In fact, it was so appropriate, I wanted to get some sleep that I went through the house searching for Teddy. Anybody with me? We need Teddy so we can get a good night's sleep. And then you have this season of your life, and then there comes a time when you let go of this season. So the cross and us participating in this is the key for you moving from one phase of your life to the next phase of your life. That's what growing up is all about. It's leaving certain things behind so you can move into the next part of your life. If you don't, you stay stuck in a more childlike, self-centered, ego-centered state of your life. And you could say, well, that's what I want to do. And you have every right. It's just what you'll notice is that people will start moving away from you. You can think of somebody that all their obsession is with themselves. And you have a conversation, and you can't get anything in. It's all about the one person. It's obsessive. And next thing you know, you think, next time they invite me to coffee, I don't know if I want to go. And people wonder, like, why can't I move through these phases of life? I was telling this to the church, the group in Florida a few weeks ago, and if I've shared it with you, forgive me, but sometimes I forget. But I was talking about the time when I was in high school, and I got my dad's John Deere. He's got a little bucket, had a bucket on the front, and I dug a hole, and I buried all of the trophies that I accumulated. There weren't that many, but to me, they were, that I accumulated when I was a kid. But the thing you have to remember is when I was a kid, that's all, and I mean all, that is all that I cared about. I didn't care about anything except boxing trophies. I got up early. My era was when Rocky came out. And if he wore gray sweatpants with shorts over them, then I wore gray sweatpants with shorts over them. And if he ate blended raw eggs, then I literally ate blended raw eggs. I did that because that's all that I cared about. And the reason I'm saying it is because that was okay for a certain stage of my life. And then I finished that. No one told me to. I was completely unprompted. It's just, I was done. And I got a hole, and I dug, and I put them all in there. Funny thing is, since I did that, I read in a lot of more, you would call them indigenous cultures, they have boyhood to manhood transition rites and male initiation rites. Very much kind of missing in modern American culture. And a lot of people would say, to our detriment, that boys aren't becoming men the way they need to because they don't know how to leave their childhood behind because we don't initiate them. I can't bring all the answers here today, but it's worth making a little note somewhere. We do have a lot of men acting like boys. It would be nice to leave some of that behind. Then I read, this is a practice for a lot of these. They would have boys bury their toy. I didn't know anything about this when I did it, but they would bury their toys, their childhood toys. But they have all of these initiation rites, and the initiation rites are designed to do something. They're designed to kill, to bury, get the significance? To bury what is young, so that you can move into what is mature, what is proper for your age. Now, instead this year, here's my goal. Instead of us just observing the cross, many of us know that Jesus died for us. And so the problem can become we just applaud Jesus. We just thank him. We just worship. He died for me. So kind of like there's nothing left for me really to do. But what Paul does is different. He talks about, I was crucified with Christ. His experience is my experience. Are you ready for this? You and I need to participate in the cross. Not in the physical way, although there are cultures where they actually do that. People go around and they go through this whole problem. I mean, I don't think that that's necessary. I think life is hard enough. But what we need to understand is that this is going to be a part of your experience. And it can be voluntary or it can be involuntary. Make a note of this. Who's ever had something that you loved ripped away from you? Ripped away from you. It's not good. It's this terrible, tearing kind of feeling. But what happens in life is when you go through life, you leave certain things behind so you can step forward into things that are new. And you can do it voluntary or it can happen involuntary. But what I want you to think about today is not just the fact that Jesus died for you, but I want you to think about this question. What do I need to die to? What do I need to die to? A couple of scriptures. Romans chapter 6. Here's Paul talking about dying. Paul says in verse 5, if we have been united with him like this in his death, we will certainly be united with him in his resurrection. For we know that our old self was crucified with him. The key word is with, crucified with. What does this mean? This can't mean that we go back in time. This has to mean that his experience is somehow it's our path. That crucifixion is the way to life. That death is the way to life. Dying to things. Anybody here ever have to die to ho-hos? Anybody here have to die to Twinkies? No, I mean, you say, who grew up on them? Ho-hos and Twinkies. Some of you are like, I just had one for breakfast. All right? But then you start to read, you start to learn, you start to get a little more education. Like, I think I'm going to have to die to those. I'm going to have to let go. That's no longer going to help my, what? It's not going to help my path. Some of you, listen carefully, you have to die to old friendships. I used to tell this to the youth ministry. I worked with kids all the time. It is so true. It is so true. It is so true. Bad company corrupts good character. If you're around the wrong people, you're toast. If you're always trying to please the wrong people, doesn't mean you're too good, you can't talk to other people. But you'll know, if you're around people and they influence the way that you act, the way that you behave, you have to die to that group of people. There is no other way. Ask anybody that's come out of an addiction. They will tell you, one of the things that I had to do was say goodbye. I have to die to this group. No longer a part of it. There was a guy that was a part of the youth ministry when I was young. I just saw him. He's getting his gang tattoos removed from the side of his eye the other day. He's talking about how much pain it was, and he had pictures he was putting on Facebook and everything. But he's like, I have to die to that. That which was so valuable, so important to me, I have to die to. What do you need to die to? Here's the thing you need to know about participating in the cross. You have to do it. You have to do it to move forward in life. It's the path. Old habits, old choices, old friends, old patterns, things that drag you down into what the Bible calls sin. So Paul says this, we know that our old way was crucified with Christ, right? So that the body ruled by sin would be done away with, that we would no longer be slaves to sin. What happens? Well, what happens is it's something that you participate in, and then all of a sudden it starts to own you. It starts to drive you. It starts to direct you. And the only way through that is a crucifixion. You have to die. The second thing we know about participating in this is, and this is the hard news, this is the hard part about it. Ready? It's going to be very painful. Happy Sunday. But someone's got to tell you the truth about life. Have you noticed that today what's being advertised to you all the time is that there's some easy, pain-free way to get somewhere in life that you will never have to sacrifice. It usually involves some kind of a pill. And then there's never going to be any repercussions to you whatsoever. I'm just going to be the one truth teller here to say, some of life, to get forward in life, is painful. Saying goodbye to some friends is painful. Saying goodbye to old habits is painful. Saying goodbye to other things that were dragging you down is painful. But it's freedom if you can persevere through it. The cross was unbelievably painful. The Romans, they perfected the crucifixion. They designed, this is a way of dying, killing people, that it applies maximum physical pain with maximum emotional suffering, agony, humiliation, all wrapped together. It was all designed. We get our word excruciating from the Latin word cross. One of the things that you and I do almost reflexively is we avoid pain. Is anybody like me? I was at the gym the other day. I don't go enough. All right, I'm not here bragging, believe me. But I was there, and I started to feel a lot of pain right here. And the only thing that I wanted to do was to go get a smoothie. Is anybody with me? And the funny thing is they sell smoothies there. They're like 7 million calories and whatever, but it makes you feel like you're really doing it. So all I wanted to do was I wanted to quit and have a smoothie. And this is what change in your life for the good is painful at times. It just is. There's no way around it. Change for the good can be very painful. It's letting go. And what we want to do is we want to go around the pain. We want to avoid it. But here's the thing. There's another proverb that says this. It's worth making a note of. It says, it takes a painful experience to make us change our ways. So you can take your pain on the front end or you can take your pain on the back end. Anybody here? What's the saying? Had to learn the hard way. Anybody have to learn the hard way? I got a lot of time. Yes, I'm going to learn the hard way. No. Anybody here try to tell your kids an easy way? And they don't want to do the easy way. They want to do the, no, I gotta hit my head first. Get off of there, you're going to hit your head. No, I choose to hit my head first and cry uncontrollably and get stitches and bleed all over the couch. Thank you. Had to learn but it's pain. Pain is a teacher. So it's pain voluntary or pain involuntary. Pain is a teacher. Oh, such a bad week to come to church. You know, like talk about something happy. It's the truth. If you talk to any wise person, you know, the problem is we need more. I don't know if we need more or we need to listen more, but we need more wise people in our culture, elders. I think one of the reasons that I went to church a lot when I was a kid, teenager, there was a lot of wise people there. They would say wise things to me. I went all the time. I wanted to be around wisdom. I think our culture is being smothered in shallow slogans. When we need to be immersed in wisdom. Because wise people will say things to you. And I remember one time, I came to church, and no, I don't know how this will strike you, but I still remember it. I was wearing a bandana. Now, I guess in the 80s, like, that was cool or something. Anybody from the 80s? It was cool. I thought it was cool, or I was wearing it, and I wasn't trying to be overly flamboyant or anything like that, but I guess I was wearing a bandana. And this lady from church, who turned out to be an amazing mentor and a very wise person, came to me and said, "Take that off. That looks stupid." Didn't sugarcoat it, didn't warm up to me, just, "That looks stupid. Take that off." It was funny, though. I still remember it. And I still love her. It was like she knew, like, you're just trying, you don't need that costume in here. I don't know. Wise people know. And they don't mind the hard path. They don't mind it because they know that's a part of it all. Your participation in the cross is necessary to move forward in life, and it's very difficult. But here's what you need to know. All the wise people go there. Two more things. You will find that this crucifixion, it's getting worse, by the way. It's not only is it very painful, it's going to have to be repeated. This pattern, what you see in Jesus, is a pattern for your life that you will go through many times. In fact, here's what the Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians. He said, "I die daily." So again, it can't mean physical death. It has to mean the ego. It has to mean die to what I want. Yeah, have you ever noticed how enraged people are driving? Have you noticed this? No, it's worth just thinking about it. I mean, I know you can get back, and some of you need to take a pill before you go driving or grow up a little bit or whatever. I was coming down the street the other day, and a person cut just right in front of me. And I swear we were making eye contact, and he just completely did not have the right of, it was just like I had no stop sign, he had a stop sign, and just like this. I mean, if I didn't slam on my brakes, we would have had an absolute collision, right? And you want to know what I did? You're so nosy. No. Have you ever you ever have this encounter and somebody cuts in front of you, or you accidentally cut in front of them? I don't know if you didn't see me or what. I let it go. There you go. Now you know. I let it go. People get so irate because you blocked the spot they want to be in, right? It's 16 feet. 16 feet. You're driving 27 miles. By the next light, you're ahead of them, or they got cut off by somebody else. Has this happened to you? Let it go. But what happens is your will got blocked. That's what happened. What you wanted got interfered with, and you can't handle it. That's it. You're a 4-year-old. No, there's nothing else to say. I can't bail you out. I can't. Well, he didn't have it. It's irrelevant. Well, you didn't get what you wanted, and now you're throwing a fit. That's it. Oh, come on, bail me out, throw me a light. No, you're a 4-year-old. Get over it. What do you tell your kid when they don't get enough gumballs and one gets stuck in the machine, or when they go out there and they don't get enough candy? Go deck the kid that took it? What do you tell them? You tell them to grow up. You help them mature in a nice way, but you like, hey, that's sometimes life. Am I close? I mean, I know I'm going to have this conversation today. What's wrong with our society? We're raising 4-year-olds. Just always get your own way. It's part of our own fault because we've always told people, the customer's always right. Right? So you walk into some place, you get your chest all puffed out, you're like, I'm the customer. Right? That's how we think. We think we're the customer. And everybody should get us what we want. And what happens is it stunted our growth. Because when things are too easy, when you always get what you want, it stunts your growth. It ruins you. Healthy people have limits on them all the time. No, you can't do that. No, you can't go there. No, you can't touch that. I have good news for you as we wrap this up. This path, the crucifixion, is a guaranteed success. There's death, and then there's what? Resurrection. There's death, and then there's resurrection. There's letting go of the old, and then there's new. I have a friend who's lived in a certain neighborhood, and we were talking to them about moving to another neighborhood, and they were like, no, we have the best, and never want to move. And so finally something happened one day. They moved, and they left all those friends behind. And they said, all these people that were there, they started moving, and now we have these friends, and we can't imagine living back there because now we have this. In other words, some difficult experience moves you from here to here, and you never knew what you were missing out on here. So that's why, for an addict, it's something, because it's like you don't know what you're missing out on to be free from that. If you let go of all these old friends, you could have these kinds of friends. There's a whole world out there that you've not even touched yet, that God wants to open for you, but you just have to learn to let go of the old. I'll read you a story. We'll close. This is from Genesis, and this will show you, if you have the ears to hear it, one of the most difficult crucifixions, letting go of something that you love. But when you come out on the other side, you're a new person. Genesis. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. Abraham, here I am. Then God said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on the mountain I will tell you about. This is the ultimate story. This is God asking Abraham to let go of his son. Early the next morning, Abraham got up, saddled his donkey, took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the offering, he set out for the place God told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servant, stay here with the donkey while I go. I and the boy go up there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you. When God does a crucifixion in our life, it's not because God needs anything from you. Let's start there. If you ever give anything to God, it's not because God has any needs. What God takes from us, requests from us, is because we need to learn to let go. Only so that he can give us so much more in return. Right? Someday, we'll take Charlie's little toy car away so that she can have a real car. Someday, you got to let go of these things so God can give you something bigger, something better. Abraham takes Isaac, and as you know the story, when he reaches to slay him, the angel of the Lord grabs his hand and provides a ram in the thicket to take the place of his son Isaac. I don't think there's a more painful thing you could think of. But this is about you and I learning to let go so that you can go forward in life. There's death, and then there's resurrection. And if you don't go through it, you can't experience the other side. So what happens to a lot of us is we get stuck because we see how painful this is, we see how difficult this is, and we refuse. But if you had the faith of Abraham, he said, we're going to go worship, and then we are going to come back. I don't know how, but that's what faith does for you. So when you're going through a difficult time, you're going through a dark time, you're going through a loss of something, losing your job can feel like a crucifixion, losing a relationship can feel like that, losing your status somewhere. It all can feel like you're being stripped away. But what God does is he opens up something new on the other side. So this year, as we celebrate Easter, don't just applaud for Jesus, for what he did for us, which he did. But ask yourself this: how am I participating? What is God? What do I need to die to in my crucifixion so that I can come out on the other side? If you're stuck, this is a great opportunity to let go. Give it into the hands of God. If you refuse to let go of things, then what happens is, like in the case of Abraham with Isaac, he refuses to let go. If you refuse to let your kids go, you could think of it like when you launch your kids out into the world. You're letting them go. This is a terrifying thing. Is this true? I remember the first time Charlie rode her bike down to the neighbor's house. I was terrified. I kept looking out the side. It's not a good feeling. But you have to let them go, because if you don't, you're going to ruin them. Yes? Anybody ever seen Will Ferrell? Mom. You ever seen that movie? You have to let them go. You have to sacrifice. You have to let them go so that they can flourish and that you can flourish. This is all the way that this works. What you will see when you get to learn this, you will see that the cross is not just a holiday for once a year. You will see that the cross is central and key to everything in your life about moving forward. You got to die to live. You got to let go to have something. The only way to move forward is through the crucifixion, death